afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Council and Committee meeting, February 3rd, 2016. Call this meeting to order. I'm asking for pecuniary interests, and I am going to claim pecuniary interests because I work for the Corporation of Bonachère Excavating, Inc. during the summer. And I will ask for the motion to adopt the agenda. Then I will ask Reeve Miller to take my place here. I'm going to ask if the chair people for today's committee meetings would be okay with the Reeve sitting in the mayor's chair, with the chairman sitting at their desks to not have to go around and around all the time. And I'm just going to ask for a consensus of that. Everybody's in favor? That's what we will do. So, moved by Dave Mackay, seconded by Kathy Regier, be resolved that the Council and Committee of the Township of Whitewater Region adopts the agenda of the February 3rd, 2000 meeting, with one addition item, closed session for corporate services at the end of the meeting and presentations. We should have there, right? Okay. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Reeve Miller, would you be so kind as to take my position at this time? Thank you.
So we're all going to stay in our own seats? Yep.
Yeah, I had one too, but anyway, I will take it. Oh, you'll have to go. That's not done by Darryl?
Oh, yeah.
Just give it to Darryl, right? Yes. Okay, I would like to turn it over to Councillor McLaughlin, our Environmental Services Committee, to introduce their delegation. Darryl, please, thank you.
Oh, my understanding was that I thought you were going to do it all. Am I wrong on that? You were going to chair all the committees. Is that right or not?
No, that's not my understanding.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was confused then.
I think you chair it from there is what the intent was.
Oh, okay.
If you get bad, I'm here.
All right. You can keep me under control. Anyway, I will just turn it over to Matt from BEI to do his presentation. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Councillor McLaughlin. Good afternoon. Thank you for having us again to discuss development in Cobden. At the last meeting held on the 16th of December, I think it would be fair to say that there was a certain amount of concern or even dismay expressed at the costs associated with installing water and sewer lines and making the necessary highway adjustments. We at BEI have come to understand some of the concerns associated with the township being asked to be involved with sharing costs of this development, and we hope today's package will provide an option that will address those concerns while still allowing the township to be directly involved in the growth of Cobden. We've been made aware that the prevailing process for development in the Eastern Ontario area is for municipalities to be spared any of the expenses involved. However, this is the same methodology that has directly ensured that there has been very little commercial or industrial development in the township of Whitewater Region and almost no development of any kind in the village of Cobden. Development is expensive, and with the current population base available in this area, it is unrealistic and unreasonable to expect small businesses to come into the area and bear the full weight of development expense. How do we solve the problem? Increase the population base. How do we increase the population base? We provide reasons for people to want to move and stay in the area. jobs, services, and attractions. It doesn't happen quickly, and with the current size of the village and the township, it won't happen easily, but it might be easier if the council takes a direct hand in providing assistance. Bonisher Excavating is highly motivated to be involved with the development in the Cobden-Whitewater Township region. To us, growth means more jobs available in the area, providing opportunities that keep the young people in the region, and providing the municipality with the ability to make the changes and improvements they know are required. From the previous packages we presented as review, an extension of the municipal and infrastructure costs, we have $285,000 for the sanitary sewer, $105,000 for the water line, and approximately $80,000 for the left turn lane. I'm rounding numbers to keep everything nice and easy at this point. Costs associated with the water and sewer assume the average process will be made with, average progress will be made with the rock removal in the area. Obviously, if there's extra hard rock forms or more of it, that could cause an increase. If things go easier, then there could be a decrease. This is an estimate at this point. Situation is development of new businesses, specifically those coming to the Century Milling property, is extremely expensive to the point of being prohibitive. Development in the village of Cobden that does not involve costs transferred to the current taxpayers not directly affected by the development is the target. Our proposal is a cost sharing by directly affected parties. 1/3 to be dealt with via a loan to the new businesses recouped via tax levies over a period of time. 1/3 to be dealt with via an application of the taxes and fees in the development affected area to cover any of the BEI carried expenses. In other words, BEI would carry those expenses until those fees could be directed to pay those costs back. Loans to new businesses recouped via tax levies. To explain that a little bit more, that 1/3, the municipality would provide funding via a loan to the new businesses that would be involved, that would be paid via the levies added to their tax bills over the next 15 to 20 years. And that's details that could be discussed at some point in the future. Reducing the initial startup costs to the businesses mean that they will have added capital to hire more employees upon opening. Again, this brings more jobs, this adds to the tax base, and this increases the development rate. This leads to faster growth, better chance of a long-running successful business. The second third, BEI carried expense to be recovered via taxes and fees, property taxes, water and sewer fees paid in the next 10 years by those home and business owners in the area directly affected by the development could be applied to cover this portion of an expense carried by BEI. In summary, BEI understands that there is a concern that township taxes collected in the areas not directly affected by this development could be used for this project. Our package works to avoid this. There is no request related to this package that has anything to do with an increase in taxes or fees. Homes and businesses in the area of this development would be directly affected by the change to the infrastructure. Property values would increase, and there would be an opportunity to hook onto the municipal water and sewer system available immediately to at least 5 homes and 3 businesses, not counting the Century Milling property. There will also be an opportunity at some point in the future to add 6 more homes on Wallace Drive, plus any new development along Wallace Drive. With the suggested method in our package, we propose for the Township of Whitewater region to assist and stimulate development without increasing taxes, with no effects on residents outside of the area of the development, and with minimal burden being placed on new business owners. Thank you. Councillor Jackson, question?
What properties do you feel that could be affected by the 1/3 percentage to be picked up of the cost that you're willing to carry until
The 5 houses along Highway 17 that would be directly affected by the sewer and water lines that would be outside of their properties.
And where
Plus-
are they located? They're located across the
Directly
highway?
across the highway from the Century Milling property.
So are you going to be providing an under the highway line when you develop this?
No, we're not
So
any more than
how-
we would
how
provide
can
any
they-
kind of a service down Wallace Drive or a pumping station to service the 6 houses at the bottom of the hill.
Right. So you're willing to carry that portion until somebody does want to go across the highway to provide those services, and as well down Wallace Drive? Because right now, unless it's not available to them, it's not along the same side of the highway,
What we're proposing
and
is,
it's not down Wallace Drive.
as people hook on to the water and sewer, which would be a township-directed activity, those fees then could be redirected to BEI to cover those costs. Until
you're
that point, it
wanting the
would
township
simply be
to
a
hold
taxes. No, BEI would cover those costs and hold those costs, but that payback would not be applicable for water and sewer until they hook on. Property taxes would be applicable,
How would property taxes when it's water and sewer?
because their properties are directly affected, their values are increasing. This is our suggestion. This is something to be discussed.
Okay, my question for you, do you have a realty,
No.
quote that says their property values are going to increase? Because my thinking is with the extra traffic and the turning and the congestion at the highway, that their property values may decrease.
It's a matter of opinion, I guess.
That's why I would suggest to get a real estate
That's,
evaluation.
that's fine. Thank you.
Go ahead, Chris.
Could this line be hooked into, so once you develop the rest of Wren subdivision, is it possible that, I don't know what all the detailed plans are at this point with respect to water and sewer, but if the line was extended up to where the brewery project is going, is there an opportunity perhaps that the the lines can be extended from Wren subdivision across the highway?
They could be. There would be some difficulty associated with rock. However, there is going to be a requirement to consider a loop for the water line from Wren subdivision around to the highway, which would increase flows capacity. I'm not sure that the sewer line would link around that way, but that is an option.
Councillor Regier.
At $470,000, I'm just asking the question, have you ever considered well and septic in that location as opposed to going to full infrastructure?
Yes.
And
based on the size of the business, there isn't enough room on the property.
to do that? Because I have to tell you my concern here, I haven't voiced too much of an opinion here, but coming in as a developer, when I look at the village of Beachburg, you know, a couple of years ago, we had the Barakins and Delmer Lavely come in and develop Beachburg, so much so that it's now surpassed Cobden in residential. So I just question, if we come through here, are those developers going to be back in here? And why would they not be? Because they didn't come to council looking for any infrastructure or looking to maintain or help do roads. They did it. It was part of their...
They did it, and they made back the amount that they spent and more. They made money on it.
As you people will someday.
How? How are we going to make money on the property that the brewery is going on, which is intended to be sold? There is no opportunity for recoup.
Well, then what are you doing this for? if there's no, if you
We're
have
doing
no,
this for development in the village.
I get that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for your comment.
Go ahead, Chris.
Just in response to Councillor Rieger, I think you're talking two completely different subjects here. You're talking, one is a commercial development, where I think in Beachburg there's been no commercial development from the two I think they're all housing, they're all residential, where, you know, if we want to talk residential, then we'll talk rent subdivision or the other proposal. But you're talking commercial development with jobs and different tax structure and everything else.
Yeah, I understand that.
Charlene?
Currently, right now, no portion of the taxes go towards water and sewer. So if 0% goes towards water and sewer now, how can you justify the taxes for those homes that cover all of the other aspects of what a municipality has to pay for, go towards the water and sewer development at this property? I just want to know, how can you justify that? Because right now, residential property taxes, which include those 5 homes that are across the highway, the potential homes that go down Wallace Drive, those property taxes go towards fire, planning, admin, roads. All those taxes are paid for through their property taxes, those uses. 0% goes to water and sewer. So I don't understand why you would think that those property taxes that they're paying for the services that we provide, garbage pickup, recycling pickup, all of that policing costs, why they should go directly and at what percentage they should go, because currently it is 0, why you feel that those costs should bear just to your development and not share, because if those costs aren't going, then the rest of the taxpayers are picking up the cost of those taxes. So you can say all you like that it's only those homes, but it's not. Those homes pay whatever municipal portion of those taxes, and on a $100,000 house, it's probably, assessed house is probably about $300, $350. So every home would have, and that's the municipal portion. So every one of those homes that you're saying you want the taxes for, then everybody else in Whitewater region has to pick up that loss to cover the costs of the services that are provided in the property taxes. I really struggle with that.
I think eventually we have to ask the question, do we think jobs in Whitewater are important? And what we've brought here is a proposal to bring jobs, to start, to kickstart. And with these jobs, hopefully will come further jobs. So we come with a proposal so that we can help the business owner bring jobs to your community. And that's all it is, a proposal. If there's a better way, we're interested in listening to it. But it's a proposal to jumpstart some business owners to bring jobs to this community, not another community. They had options to go elsewhere.
I'm going to go to Reeve Miller next.
On that point, I would just like to point out, like from an economic development standpoint, it may not be a bad investment for all of Whitewater to pay a little more taxes to get this snowball going. And I think that's the point Mark's trying to make. It's got to start somewhere. And I don't see it as a bad investment for the ratepayers of Whitewater to help this along and proceed with whatever we can for expansion. Thank you.
I'll go to Charlene next. Okay. Kathy, go ahead.
Just on that note, Reeve Miller, then I have to question our own industrial park. Are you willing as well? Because, I mean, we're going to have business coming in there, so is this something that we're going to entertain in future for any development that wants to come into our own industrial park?
I would entertain anything that makes sense and get somebody in that park more than we have there now, yes. Yeah, if it made sense and there was a presentation made, by all means.
Okay, I'm going to go then to Charlene.
So, 1/3 of $470,000 is $157,000. That is, I don't even fathom to guess what kind of an increase on the taxes it is. But on the tax rate, that's huge, huge dollars that would not be paid back anytime soon. And I agree, I'm all for development, don't get me wrong. All for development, but it's highly unusual that a municipality provides the funds for developing property in order to bring jobs, certainly not at the tune of $157,000. You know, certainly, I know there was some talk about a local improvement and how that could work. Well, the local improvement would be localized to that specific property that's being developed, that it is only going there, the water and sewer is only going there because it's not being provided across the road and it's not being provided down Wallace Drive at this time. So it's localized just to that property. So if you have the Whitewater Brewing Company and you want us to borrow on your behalf and charge it back to the property over 20 years, you guys may not be the property owner, but I would want to see that there would be an agreement in place with the future purchaser of that property, being Whitewater Brewery, is my understanding, is that eventually they hopefully will own it. Part of the property anyways, that they would agree that those taxes be charged, that local improvement be charged back to them over time, over a specific amount of time. You know, whether it be 20, 40 years, it doesn't really matter to me as long as it's not anybody else and it is specified. You have said before in your presentation that you didn't want to charge, you didn't want to pick up the brunt of it because you didn't want to pass those costs on to the sale of the property. But it is a direct cost to that property and that property alone at this time. Like if you were to develop across the road and if there was somebody interested, and I don't know if you have asked the question, if they were interested in getting water and sewer at that time, then it would be determined, as I sent in my email, you know, at what cost should they, you know, pick up for their development of water and sewer across the road in order that they can achieve it. But right now you're not offering that, nor are you offering it down Wallace Drive. So whenever that happens, it's going to have to be increased down the road, and whoever does that will have to pick up the cost, as per usual. It becomes very difficult.
That's out of our control, Charlene, that for us to mandate that all of the municipality would have to indicate to those landowners it's time to hook on. We're not in the position to say we'll bring in services to your door and tell them to hook on. They have to be willing to hook on. Is that not correct?
Well, what normally happens is if they're wanting to hook on, if they know it's coming up the road, and especially if it was coming in front of their house, which it isn't, it's across the road, which is a little more difficult. As you know, you're in the business, to get it across the road and then down the road, because it'll be only one link across, I would think, and then down or up or whatever. Then if they're interested in that, it's not up to us to ask them if they're interested, it's up to them to come towards us. But to me, if you're thinking on taking their tax money to cover the cost of this development, then it would be up to you to see if they would ever be interested in connecting. Maybe they just put in a well. Maybe they just put in septic systems. I don't know.
Today, the municipality has the cost of the water to the corner of Wallace Drive, and it's servicing no one. There's an opportunity to service this property now. You know, I think it makes sense. Our proposal showed our portion of 1/3 over 10 years. And maybe we can be flexible in the timelines, but it's over a 10-year period. It's $150,000 over 10 years, Matt? We're not looking for it instantly. We're looking for it over time. And the theory behind it is if we pass it on to the business owners, they're quite likely to go elsewhere because of the cost. It drives the cost up. So I think to help jumpstart the economy, the economic development that we all talk about wanting, I think we all have to come to the table and invest. And this is a proposal. We thought it might be something that would be receptive.
Yes, go ahead, Terry.
Yeah, in regard, like, to the amount of money, as Councillor Jackson pointed out, I have some reservations about the amount too. The way I've been looking at this is you make a proposal and then we want to do the right thing, at least to support not just the brewery project, but in all the good works you guys are doing in the area. And it would be more of a symbolic support as a, we don't have mega bucks. But I would be really in favor of something symbolic in view of everything you're doing in our community, and I think we should stay focused on that, and we do appreciate that and need that in Whitewater. And for that, I thank you.
Go ahead, Chris.
Any kind of growth takes an investment, a significant investment from either public or private money. It takes entrepreneurship, and it takes a risk of both parties. And typically on the private side, it takes a very strong stomach because there's no guarantees. In my opinion, here we have an entrepreneur in front of us, and we would treat anybody else coming to the table no differently than we treat this entrepreneur who has shown a significant interest in the community. So back to Councillor Rieger, absolutely. If somebody was looking at the industrial park and they're talking about creating jobs, we will invite them 100% to come and present to us, which we need to do for anybody, be it Westmeath, Beachburg, La Paz, I don't care where it is, but if it's going to create jobs, keep people in the area, keep your kids employed so they don't have to run to Toronto and Ottawa and all over God's green earth. I think we should really be listening, and maybe this isn't the right answer. I don't know. It may or may not be. I'm sure we're going to hear lots of different levers and mechanisms that can be used, but I think council needs to be very creative and open-minded because we don't have anybody knocking our door down to invest in Whitewater region, period. And I think we need to keep an open mind here.
Any other comments? Charlene?
Christine, you mentioned a section in the Municipal Act, and I'm just wanting to know what section that was with regards to helping development.
And when we go into closed session for legal counsel, we will be discussing there are several sections in the Municipal Act and several opportunities to be discussed, but that will be privileged client solicitor information enclosed.
Well, the Municipal Act is public.
Yes, it is, but
so the section that you referred to.
There's section 106, there's
meeting.
section 326. Section 106 deals with bonusing. Section 107 deals with grants. Section 326 deals with a special services bylaw. Section 391 deals with loan and local improvement charges. None of this is my area of expertise. So while they're all in the Municipal Act, I don't have experience with them, which is why we've invited legal advice for today.
Go ahead, Dave.
I'm just trying to figure this out. If you take $157,000 over 10 years, and there's 5,000 ratepayers, it works out to $31.70, I think. Does that sound right? Do you think that's right, Marcia?
That's the calculation that you did, but, yeah.
It's not right.
No, it's fine. It's just, I don't know how you're gonna do it though over how many properties.
Well, oh yeah, you're right. Well, I'm just trying to figure out what would that cost, and if you did over 20 years, it'd be $15.80. Which doesn't sound like very much, but I can hear the howling now from ratepayers. Just just wanna get an idea what that was gonna cost per property if you went over all the properties. But it doesn't work that way, right? Cause it's on a percentage of what you pay. Okay, forget that idea, sorry.
Okay, do I have any more comments? And do you gentlemen have anything more, Matt? No? Well, if that's it, then I'd like to say thank you very much, and we'll be going into closed session to discuss this further. Thank you, Mark. I think next on the agenda is another delegation, Joey Term.
I'd like to thank council for giving me this time, and I promise I won't cause a disturbance. So, you're good. This request came to the previous council, of which I was a member, and I had some thoughts at that time. And since it's coming back up again, I thought maybe you would appreciate some of the thoughts I had about this proposal. Now, at that time, as today, BEI is presenting this as an investment in the township. And really, that is the only definition that works. Any new business or development coming into the municipality is an investment in our municipality. But no more than the investments we have all made. The property that we own, the houses we own, the businesses we have, are also, they too are investments in our municipality. The problem I have with their presentation is the anticipated dividends. And I don't believe that what they see as dividends to the municipality is what we would actually see in fact. Now, I know that, and I'm making some assumptions, and of course, I wasn't able to hear the presentation today, so some of this stuff is going to be maybe not applicable. However, if the present project had been completed in 2015, and it was assessed at $500,000, which are just numbers I'm coming up with in my head, the township would have collected $15,000 in taxes from that building. That's significant. That's 3 times as much as I pay, and I think I pay a lot. So it's a significant amount of money. However, as we all know here, of that $15,000, after remittance, the township gets to keep 5. And even if you said to yourself, now I didn't know that there was the breakdown. What I'd heard that there was a request for $458,000. Now it's $470, which, just do the math. It'll take how many years at $5,000 a piece to pay that back, if you did it that way. If you just said, okay, we've got $5,000 that we can pay back that investment with. Well, you can't, because the ministry mandates that the municipality provide, as Charlene was saying, services to each property owner. And the same legislation makes it lawful that the property owner
pay for those services. So, in this past year, that $5,000 would have been allocated to all of the services that the municipality provide to all of the ratepayers. So there's no extra money. There just isn't. However, that doesn't mean that new businesses coming to the municipality aren't a benefit. They're spin-off. But it's very difficult to quantify that and to say how much it is. Okay, where am I going now? So when you look at it this way, this amount of money, whatever it is, now it's been broken up into thirds, so I haven't had a chance to really, I understood the presentation, but I haven't had a chance to really understand how that comes out. So I apologize for that. But seen in this light, any money that goes to a development, or this development, is not an investment, it's a donation. You're not getting anything back, it's a donation. And so that begs a couple of questions. One that Kathy brought up. What about the other developers in the community? The Verraken Brothers and Sons, Delmer Lavallee, others that have built hundreds of homes. Most of the Verraken and Lavallees are in subdivisions, and they have paid for all the upfront services. If the township is considering making donations, as Kathy said, they might be lining up for one too. I wouldn't blame them. Okay. So the second question is, if we're not going to recoup the money from BEI in any way, then where do we get the money? Because it's a real amount of money. Now again, they've broken it up, and so I really, maybe this doesn't make any sense. But presently, if I understand correctly, our tax rate is 35 cents on the dollar, which means that if you raise the taxes 1%, you raise $35,000. So $470,000 is 14%. You're not going to raise 14% on top of the other 3 that you're probably going to want to raise in a couple of months. That's not going to happen. The other way that sometimes municipalities get money is from already raised money. Now, the usual suspect here is roads, where there's a lot of money in public works. Now, even if Bill Meisner didn't miss $500,000, and I'm sure he would, it would be a bad idea to start robbing other budgets. You have to remember that the roads system, the public works system, is $2 million plus in deficit, according to the audited survey that was done on our assets. So you sound confused there. Doesn't make sense? Okay, 3 years ago, an independent consulting. Okay, then I stand corrected. But if I've given you something, a wrong information, that's not right.
I don't think that has anything to do with what we're talking about here. We're talking about roads and everything else now. I think we'd like to stick just to the subject matter, please.
What I'm trying to give you an idea is that we don't have any extra tax money, because there is indeed a $2 million deficit in the assets of the Public Works Department. And that's a fact. And probably plus. Anyway, okay. So the other way to get the money is to borrow it on behalf of the developer. And I think some of that was coming out today. And one of the ways it can be done, of course, is in a local improvement initiative. And of course, as Charlene has pointed out, this is local, and it is an improvement. However, it's not usual. Municipality has never done one of these. And the reason is, there's not enough room to spread the risk. If you had a 75 or 100 house subdivision, you could spread the risk. You could do local improvement in the subdivision and spread the risk. It's not likely that those 100 people would all lose their jobs and declare bankruptcy. So you get your money back, because these loans are paid back in taxes, as was pointed out. It's added to your taxes. So,
are these not the very people that have about 75 lots ready to go, but we don't have any businesses to support the people that want to come here?
Yes, but what I'm saying is, when you lend money, township lends money, there's a certain expectation you get it back. And so you'd only lend it if there was a very exceedingly low risk. Now, when you can spread the risk, you're fine. I mean, unless you live in Fort McMurray, there's likely not going to be a subdivision close up. So, this application would be to one, or maybe in the future, two property owners. The risk is pretty high. And I remind you of, these names you might remember them. Homeco, Welcome Steel, Taminco, Century Milling. Homeco went bankrupt and left the township on the hook with considerable amount of money and an empty building. After that, Welcome Steel moved in at a loss to the township, and they went bankrupt and left the township holding a lot of money on collected taxes. Century Milling, same thing. Two townships, Cobden and Whitewater Region, left us holding a building, an empty vacant building, collecting no taxes, having to dispose of it, and no tax revenue. And the thing is, when a business goes bankrupt, you don't drop your budget the next year by the amount of money that they were paying. Everyone else absorbs it. That's the way it works. So I want you to look at it this way. It is a big benefit for industry and development to come into any municipality. No question. But the township assumes a risk just by them coming, because they could not be there very long. All of you can point to businesses that have lasted a long time. Of course. But I can point to businesses that didn't. And it's a risk. And I know all townships, all municipalities are willing to take on that risk. Definitely willing to take it on. But are you willing to take on a further risk in the form of a loan? Or are you willing to put that risk on a group of other ratepayers that are already struggling to pay for their services? Doesn't make sense. It has been mentioned that in Eastern Ontario, no municipalities subsidize developers. I would like to extend that to the whole province of Ontario. Do not subsidize developers. It's just not done, because, as was pointed out by BEI, the benefit is slow in coming and in small increments. One bad decision wipes out the whole benefit. I would say that the building in the industrial park in the old Westmeath Township is a net loss over the time it's been there. Unfortunately. But that doesn't mean that Westmeath Township, and now continuing on, Whitewater Region, that we shouldn't be supporting it, and we shouldn't be trying to get more businesses in there. But if somebody's suggesting we're going to pay for them to go in there, you're assuming too much risk. It's already risky for them to be there. We already know that. Don't assume any more.
Mr. Trim, I think you have 5 minutes left.
Okay, thank you. I don't think I need 5 minutes.
Well, that'd be great. I just wanted to mention that.
The other thing too is, if we're starting to lend out money, it would be a good idea to look at our borrowing limit. We all know that in the very near future, the township is going to have to borrow $3+ million for the upgrades of the sewer plant. Now, I'm pretty sure there is already outstanding debt the township has, and the township is going to willingly take that on, and there's room in your borrowing limit to do it. Adding more reduces that. Now, there's still room. That isn't a problem. But the reason why you have room was because of the prudence of previous councils. How much are you tying the hands of the next council, future councils? That's my question. Because you only can borrow so much money. And a lot of these are long-term loans, up to 30 years. And that's what the $3+ million will be. And so they don't go away quickly. And sometimes businesses do. Not one of the businesses I mentioned lasted 30 years. Some of them, not even 10. Now, the other thing that was quickly mentioned was that, what are we doing for developers? Like, how do we expect developers to come here if we're not doing anything for them? Well, in most municipalities, Petawawa, just in the county, I'm saying, Petawawa, Pembroke, Laurentian Valley, Renfrew, Arnprior, you want to develop in the municipality, you pay for your services twice. You pay the total amount for the roads, the streets, the water, sewer, up front. The municipality deposits it, and it gives it to you back once you're finished doing it. That is the standard, and that's a huge break. Because we didn't do that, Husky, we all remember Husky? It was not a beautiful development. Husky came in, and they left owing us money. We didn't require anything up front, and now they owe us money. Well, we'll never get it. So we've got to be careful. Development's important, and we've got to bring development in here. But you've got to be sensible, too. Some development works for us. Whitewater rafting is not working at all for Laurentian Valley. Home Depot is not working at all for Whitewater region. It's just the way it is. And so we can't pretend, we can't be putting ourselves in debt and at severe risk, all our ratepayers, just for the sake of saying we brought development in. Thank you.
Are there any questions for Mr. Trim? If not, I'd like to say thank you very much. Okay, moving on, we have a motion to go into closed session, moved by Dave Mackay, second by Kathy Regier. Be it resolved that the Environmental Services Committee of the Township of Whitewater Region went into closed session under Section 239-2 of the Municipal Act at 1:56 p.m. for the following purposes: the receiving of advice that is subject to solicitor-client privileges, including communications necessary for that purpose. All in favor? Motion's carried.